The film begins with a young man named Sawada Aoi. Aoi works as a janitor at a music campus. One day, he's up on the roof, painting the boards of the building. At the same time, a student named Mika Jinai climbs up to the roof. She moves along the walls, and Aoi notices her. Aoi is shocked to see that Mika is planning to jump off the roof. Without wasting any time, Aoi pulls her back from the edge, stopping her just in time. At that time, Mika is upset and scolds Aoi for saving her. While she's talking, Aoi realizes that Mika can't see. Aoi wants to ask her more, but he can't. He lost his voice because of a sad event that happened to him in the past. A few moments later, Mika's family arrives to take her home. As they leave, Aoi finds a small bell on the ground. Mika had accidentally dropped it without knowing. After finishing his work, Aoi takes a break in a storage room near the campus. A while back, he had an accident that damaged his vocal cords. Because of this, he lost not just his voice, but also his will to live. Now, Aoi moves through life without dreams or goals, like he's just waiting for something to happen. On the other side, Mika became blind after a traffic accident. The accident caused her to lose her sight. However, the doctor told her that her blindness could be cured. Mika had retinal ablation, where the retina detaches from the supporting tissue, making her vision blurry. Thankfully, the surgery went well, and the doctor said she would be able to see again soon. Mika is now a music student with a big dream of becoming a pianist. Some of her classmates know about her condition and try to help her around. But Mika doesn't want anyone's pity, so she refuses their help. One day, Aoi's co-worker, Ippei, asked him to clean up the yard near an old lecture hall. Aoi didn't mind and went straight to the area to start working. While he was cutting tree branches, Aoi saw Mika again. She was walking towards the old lecture hall with her cane. Curious, he peeked through a window and saw Mika playing the piano. He was amazed by how well she played. However, she suddenly stopped playing because her hands began to shake. Turns out, the accident not only made Mika temporarily blind, but also hurt her hand, making it hard for her to play the piano like before. Feeling sad and angry about her situation, Mika decided to leave the room quickly. She accidentally tripped and fell. In that moment, Aoi wanted to help, but Mika got scared because she couldn't see who was there. Without saying anything, Aoi just picked up her cane so she could leave safely. The next day, Aoi was on his way back from shopping when he saw Mika arguing with her mom and grandma. Mika wanted to go to campus by herself without anyone's help. Using her guide stick, she walked to campus alone, and Aoi, feeling worried, decided to follow her quietly. Along the way, Aoi secretly helped by guiding people around so they wouldn't bump into Mika. When Mika headed toward the old lecture hall, Aoi quickly grabbed the key to unlock the door. At that time, Mika felt disappointed when she found the door locked and was about to leave. Just then, Aoi came and opened it for her. He signaled her by using the small bell that she had dropped before. Realizing someone opened the door for her, Mika went inside, while Aoi quietly went back to work. A bit later, Mika was ready to leave and almost fell on the stairs near the entrance. Aoi was there again to help her by picking up her cane. By now, Mika had figured out that Aoi was the one holding her bell and unlocking the door for her. She was curious why he never spoke to her. She even thought he didn't want to talk to her. But the truth was, Aoi couldn't talk at all. Because of this, Mika asked Aoi to answer her questions by tapping her hand once for yes and twice for no. Mika then asked Aoi if he was a pianist since he was often around the old lecture hall with the piano. Aoi didn't want Mika to know he was actually a janitor, so he tapped her hand once with a pen to say yes. Mika was happy and said she hoped he would let her play his piano someday. Aoi was unsure how to respond because he couldn't play the piano, but he didn't want to disappoint Mika, who was still getting used to her situation. Aoi often watched over Mika and even helped guide her home by ringing a bell when she was confused about crossing the street. One day, when Aoi went to clean the yard around the old lecture hall, he was surprised to see the door open. Inside, he saw a young man named Kitamura Yuma playing the piano beautifully. There, Aoi was amazed by Yuma's skill. Soon after, he took out his phone and used the talkback feature to communicate with Yuma. Aoi asked if Yuma could play the piano in front of someone for some money, but Yuma rudely refused and walked away. It was known that Yuma came from a family of musicians and was trained strictly to become a pianist since he was a child. Even though he was good at playing the piano, he didn't really enjoy it. He only played because it was what his parents wanted. Feeling pressured, he often gambled at casinos and ended up losing a lot, getting trapped and growing debt. After a night at the casino, Yuma was approached by Aoi again. This time, Aoi asked Yuma if he could play the piano in front of Mika. Since Yuma needed money to pay off his debts, he agreed but asked for 100,000 yen for one performance. At that moment, Aoi tried to negotiate because his janitor salary wasn't enough to pay that much. Yuma then lowered the price to 50,000 yen, and Aoi agreed. On the day Mika came to play the piano in the old lecture room, Yuma showed up as promised. Aoi told Yuma not to speak at all and to use the bell to signal Mika. Yuma played the piano just like Aoi asked, and it made Mika really happy. She didn't realize that it wasn't Aoi playing the piano. Mika enjoyed the performance so much that she asked Aoi to play again. Not wanting to disappoint her, Aoi asked Yuma for another performance. To pay Yuma, Aoi even took on extra work, doing hard jobs all day to earn more money. It was tiring, but Aoi was motivated because Mika was bringing meaning back into his life. Meanwhile, Aoi's close friend, Keisuke, started to worry about him. Aoi was suddenly working part-time jobs until late at night, and Keisuke thought Aoi might be in trouble and need more money. Curious, Keisuke decided to investigate. He saw Aoi giving some money to Yuma and decided to follow Yuma. Keisuke discovered that Yuma was going to the casino to gamble, and he began to think that Yuma might be blackmailing Aoi. After college, Aoi took Mika home. When they got to the riverbank, Mika thanked Aoi for saving her life. Hearing this, Aoi remembered a time back in high school that changed his life. Back then, he got into a fight with another student. During the fight, one of the guys pulled out a knife to attack Keisuke. Suddenly, Aoi jumped in to protect Keisuke, but got hurt. In his anger, Aoi pulled out the knife and ended up killing his opponent. Because of this, Aoi went to prison for a few years, and he still feels guilty about it. He sees himself as a criminal and thinks he's not as good as Mika thinks he is. The next day, Aoi waited for Yuma in the old lecture room and even tried to play the piano while he waited. When Yuma arrived, Aoi paid him as they agreed. At that time, Yuma was curious about why Aoi was willing to go through so much trouble for Mika. Then, Aoi explained that he just wanted to make her happy. Hearing this, Yuma suggested that Aoi take Mika out for a walk and even offered to take them to a place Aoi would like. Following Yuma's idea, Aoi and Mika went to the mountains, with Yuma tagging along. He said he was Aoi's friend. When they arrived at the location, Mika could enjoy the beauty of nature by listening to the birds and the rustling of the trees in the wind. Soon after, they reached a villa, and Aoi went to talk to the villa guard for a moment. Meanwhile, Mika and Yuma chatted while waiting for Aoi to come back. During their conversation, Mika asked if Yuma had ever spoken to Aoi. Yuma replied that he only communicated with Aoi through his cell phone. There, Yuma noticed a piano in the villa and started playing it in front of Mika. As he played, Mika finally realized that Yuma was the one who had been playing the piano for her all along. Mika had already felt there was something different between Yuma and Aoi, especially in how they acted and rang the bell. To Mika, Aoi was always gentler than Yuma. Mika asked Yuma not to tell Aoi she knew about the lie because she didn't want Aoi to feel hurt. Knowing he was caught, Yuma told Mika that Aoi was just a janitor at the campus. But Mika said it didn't matter to her whether Aoi was a pianist or not. She explained that Aoi was the one who saved and protected her from the beginning. To her, Aoi was the most important person in her life. Hearing this, Yuma felt upset that he was losing to Aoi, who was poor and couldn't speak. Yuma then confessed that he had started to like Mika, and he suddenly kissed her. Right at that moment, Aoi walked into the villa and saw Yuma and Mika kissing. Shocked, Mika pushed Yuma away and tried to explain to Aoi that it was a misunderstanding. But Aoi was already hurt and left quickly, throwing away Mika's bell, even though Mika called out to him. In the heavy rain that afternoon, Aoi cried because he truly loved Mika. He knew his own flaws and limitations, so he never expected Mika to return his feelings. Since that day, Aoi never showed up, even though Mika kept waiting for him. One day, Mika heard the sound of her bell and quickly went to it, thinking it was Aoi. But when she touched the hand of the person holding it, she realized it wasn't Aoi and it was Yuma. Turns out, he had picked up the bell that Aoi threw away at the villa. At that time, Yuma wanted to apologize for what happened at the villa, but suddenly, a group of men appeared and dragged both Yuma and Mika into a car. Meanwhile, Keisuke went to Aoi and told him to stop giving money to Yuma. There, Keisuke also admitted that he had asked some people from the casino, who had a grudge against Yuma, to teach him a lesson by kidnapping Yuma along with a girl. When Aoi realized that the girl was Mika, he was shocked. He tried to explain the misunderstanding to Keisuke, but quickly decided to leave to save Mika. On his way, Aoi was stopped by the police. They were searching for Mika, who had been reported missing. Since Aoi had a record for murder and was often seen with Mika, they thought he might be involved. Ippei, who saw what was happening, distracted the police to help Aoi get away. At the same time, Mika and Yuma were held captive in a garage. Yuma was already hurt after being beaten by the gangsters. Using the little strength he had left, Yuma begged them to let Mika go, saying she was innocent. Instead of helping, this made things worse for Yuma. One of the gangsters deliberately injured Yuma's hand, so he wouldn't be able to play the piano anymore. Not long after, Aoi arrived and fought the gangsters by himself. He was doing well until he saw Mika, which made him lose focus. A gangster took the chance to attack Aoi from behind. Yuma tried to help Aoi, but a gangster threatened to kill Yuma. Mika couldn't just stand there, so she got up and tried to help by hitting the gangster with a pipe. By accident, she hit Yuma instead, making him fall to the ground. Just then, the police arrived, and the gangsters decided to run away. In that moment, Aoi didn't want Mika to get in trouble, so he quickly wiped her fingerprints off the pipe and pretended that he was the one who hit Yuma. Because of this, Aoi was arrested for assault, and Yuma, who was badly hurt, was rushed to the hospital for emergency treatment. At the police station, Aoi lied and said he beat up Yuma because he hated him for having everything. He did this to make sure Mika wouldn't get involved in the case. At that time, Mika didn't realize she was the one who had hit Yuma until she heard the news that Aoi was arrested for attacking him. When she visited Aoi in jail, she asked why he lied to the police and covered up her mistake. But he didn't answer and just went back to his cell. A few days later, Keisuke came to see Mika and gave her a letter from Aoi. In the letter, Aoi, feeling like he was a bad person, asked Mika to forget about him. He wished for her to find happiness someday. At the hospital, Yuma was still recovering and was surprised when Mika came to visit. With her eyesight slowly getting better, Mika walked up to Yuma and apologized for hurting him, causing him to need intensive care. At that time, Yuma felt like what happened to him was karma for his mistakes. He admitted he had done bad things to both Mika and Aoi and told Mika to keep chasing her dream of becoming a great pianist. 2 years later, Mika had fully regained her sight and achieved her dream. She held her debut concert as a pianist, with the help of Yuma, who couldn't play the piano anymore after the kidnapping incident. After the concert, Yuma met Mika and told her that he knew Aoi had been released from prison. He had kept this a secret because he was afraid of losing Mika. But he realized that Aoi was the only one in Mika's heart. Yuma thanked Mika for taking care of him in the hospital for 2 years until he recovered. Meanwhile, Aoi was trying to move on with his life by working at the harbor. One day, Mika went to the harbor to find Aoi. She asked the workers if they knew him, but strangely, no one seemed to know who Aoi was. On the ship, Aoi was busy cleaning when he suddenly heard Mika's voice. She was insisting that the officers let her search the ship for Aoi. When Aoi saw Mika coming, he was shocked and tried to avoid being recognized. He was using his first name to keep his identity a secret. At that moment, Aoi wanted to leave the crowd that was watching Mika, but the bell he was carrying got caught on his friend's clothes and fell, making a sound that she recognized. In the end, Mika rushed toward the sound of the bell, not noticing a truck speeding towards her. Thankfully, Aoi managed to save her just in time. From that moment, Mika realized that the person who saved her was Aoi, the one she had been searching for all this time. Aoi was moved by her determination to find him. He then responded by tapping her hand, just like they used to communicate. Finally, Mika's long wait was worth it, as they could now be together. The film ends. The moral lesson from this film is if you're ever on a roof and see someone trying to give you a signal with a bell, maybe they're not trying to start a band. Always check if your secret crush can actually play the piano before setting up a concert, or you might end up with a janitor serenading you with a broom instead.